Hello, my name's Alyssa.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Jennifer.
I'm Mark.
I'm here.
And I'm Kira.
And for our sustainability product, we would like to introduce cork insulated panels. We used feedback from tough students and applied a linear regression analysis. We want to see consumers' willingness to pay, and our goal is to see what factors affect the consumer's willingness. What is our product and why it matters? Our product is an interior cork wall panel made from natural, sustainable cork rooting from a Chinese cork oak tree. It offers thermal insulation, moisture resistance, and a warm aesthetic. This matters because traditional drywall tends to trap moisture and contribute to mold risk, while consumers are also increasingly interested in sustainable home materials. We want to understand which consumers would most influence interest and the predictors to indicate the likelihood of purchase and what motivates them.
So before getting into some of the benefits of cork insulation, I want to introduce this visual. What you're seeing here is a simple cross-section of a wall that shows exactly where cork insulation would sit in a typical home. The outer layer is the brick, the inner layer is the plaster, and the cork insulation is placed between them. This highlights how cork acts as a natural barrier, regulating temperature, reducing noise, and preventing moisture from moving through the wall. Now that we see how cork would fit inside the wall, here are the main reasons why consumers would want to choose it. It's lightweight and easy to install, even in existing homes. It makes living spaces more comfortable by regulating humidity, stabilizing temperature, and naturally reducing noise. It's also low maintenance because it resists moisture, mold, and insects, which is especially beneficial in humid climates. Cork lasts for decades without losing its effectiveness, and it supports healthier indoor air quality by reducing allergens and limiting moisture buildup. So overall, cork insulation offers convenience, comfort, sustainability, and long-term durability, making it a strong choice for homeowners and renters alike.
So when we submitted our initial project for the top students, they gave us some helpful feedback. They loved the creativity of using cork and thought it was unique for Japan and appreciated that we highlighted its flexibility. But they also raised two major concerns. First, they weren't sure how cork would actually be installed in Japanese homes, since their construction is very different from US houses. And second, because Japan doesn't produce cork domestically, importing it could increase costs and carbon footprints, which challenges the sustainability angle. So, based on our feedback, we clarified how core can be implemented, added visuals to explain the installation process, and addressed the sourcing issue by discussing how importing the material affects feasibility.
Now moving on to our research question, which factors predict whether consumers would consider using cork panels inside their walls? Our dependent variable is which is the likelihood someone is to consider cork panels, and the independent variables we chose were sustainability priority, awareness of mold issues, likelihood of replacing walls due to mold, and willingness to use cork for insulation, which reflect both personal values and practical needs. Sustainability shows what people care about, while the mold related questions and installation willingness capture real functional concerns. Together, these variables help explain not just who likes the idea of cork, but what real factors make someone more open to using it in their home.
For methodology, we decided to run an online Qualtrics survey. We did a Likert 1 to 5, and we did get 179 respondents. We used a linear regression to evaluate the four predictors and explain the variation in the dependent variable. The linear regression model was the appropriate choice because our goal was predictive and to identify which factors significantly moved people's likelihood to install cork and the likelihood to purchase. We treated the Likert scale as a continuous. We tested for the significance, correlation, and the strength.
So looking at our model, our R square is 0.136, meaning the 13.6% of variance to install our product is explained by the model, which is within the normal range for consumer behavior research, which is anywhere from 10 to 30%. The model is statistically significant overall. Looking at the ANOVA table, our P is less than 0.001. Moving on to the coefficients, we see that two predictors were significant at p less than 0.05. Those two are preference for environmentally friendly materials and concern about mold and moisture. The two predictors that weren't significant were perceived ease of installation and value placed on moisture resistance features.
These findings tell us that values and risk perception matter most. Consumers who prioritize eco-friendly materials and who are worried about mold and moisture are significantly more likely to consider cork insulation. Practical issues such as living situation or installation difficulty did not significantly reduce interest in our sample. Overall, sustainability and perceived risks are the strongest motivators, while practical issues aren't.
So, some key limitations of our study can fall into three broad groups: limitations related to our sample and our data, limitations in our statistical model, as well as contextual limitations. These key limitations should affect how our findings should be interpreted. We worked with a small, somewhat skewed sample, and our findings rely on self-reported data, which can include bias or false recall. Some items use single item scales, which limited our study's reliability. Our regression identifies relationships, but not the causation, and there may be important omitted variables like specific income or renovation experience. Some variables also overlap conceptually, which can blur distinctions in our model, as well as cultural differences and low familiarity with cork insulation that can also affect how respondents interpret the concepts that we measured. Overall, our future research should include larger, more diverse samples, stronger measurement tools, and experimental or some behavioral methods to validate real-world decision making.
Now, connecting back to our TOPS feedback, their concerns about installation and sourcing pushed us to clarify how cork would actually be installed and to think more about the material would come from. So based on everything we found, we recommend a two-part approach. For targeting and messaging, we think the best audience is homeowners who care about sustainability and those dealing with mold or moisture issues. Our messaging should highlight both the eco benefits and the practical comfort and safety benefits, like breathable insulation that helps reduce moisture. On the product and operations, creating clear installation guides and working with installers can help reduce hesitation. And exploring regional sourcing options could help reduce carbon footprint and respond to the concerns brought up by TOPS. For future work, we want to test different types of messaging, like eco-focused versus more functional problem-solving messaging, to see what people respond to. We also want to do something like conjoint analysis to understand how people trade off cost, sustainability, and ease of installation, and of course, test larger and more diverse sample. Overall, sustainability does matter, but solving functional issues like mold and moisture is just as strong as of a motivator for consumers. Thank you, and we're happy to take any questions.